Here lies the Northwest Community Garden, slumbering in the January snow, peacefully dreaming of the summer's bounty, gaining nutritional strength for a future fall harvest. Many hours of dedicated labor and loving effort will go into these 16 public plots and one general plot area for the community gardener to tend, to share with neighbors in the area of Park and Baxter Streets, and especially with our wonderful Rutland Fire Department. It's a challenge to be an urban farmer in the city. Just ask Nick Santoro, who annually faces 16 bare, raised plots in the Northwest Community Garden of Rutland, where you see 3 by 12-foot tracts of bare earth at the corner of Park and Baxter Streets. He envisions plenty of produce in 7 to 8 months. Many gardeners will rent these lots from the Parks and Rec Department to grow their own vegetables, herbs, and flowers. Nick will personally plant the bigger rectangular area to raise food to offer to the community at large. But first he must clear away the debris from the past season, both vegetable and man-made. Plastics and other items have accumulated over the winter, not just in the garden plots, but between the rows and in the mushy, muddy parking area. There are composting bins, old tools to bring out, and the big plastic water barrel which winters in place, with its accompanying watering cans. Nick stores many gardening tools at his home over the winter, but he brings them out hopefully each spring. Tools include rakes, hoes, shovels, trowels, and pitchforks, of course, but his favorite digging tool is his trusty screwdriver. Furrow 2, May, the challenge of water. No garden can grow and thrive without water, which has proven the main challenge of making the Northwest Community Garden a success. Faithful volunteers like Nick have donated their own water resources by filling cans and odd containers, then schlepping them to the garden in the back of Nick's reliable pickup. Other than running up their own water bill, the only other option of volunteers is to dip buckets into the closest creek. This is the current on-site water source, a plastic barrel installed by Bruce, a former volunteer. It is elevated at the corners to allow gardeners to place their plastic watering cans right beneath the spigot. But if the weather does not cooperate by sending rain regularly, the barrel is soon depleted of its life-giving liquid. It's a pain for gardeners to lug water from their own homes on a daily or tri-weekly basis. Our dedicated garden guru, Nick, cheerfully waters not only his own veggies, but as many of the other plots as he can. I guess it helps to have a couple of green thumbs, no matter how dirty they look, to keep the garden green and growing. Furrow 3, June, planting in earnest. We have some first-time veggies in the Northwest Community Garden this year, dragon's tongue beans. These are also ranked as heirloom vegetables. It is easy to plant them from seeds. These seeds were harvested from dried pods last October. They winter very well in a cool, dark place. They grow like regular beans, but late in the season, the green pods take on added colors, purple and yellow. Here Nick is planting spaghetti squash. He uses a sharp garden fork, but please don't try this at home while wearing sandals. Nothing will even start to germinate without water. Furrow 4, July. Well, the garden is sprouting with enthusiasm, much to the delight of the individual gardeners. Nick, of course, is always interested in the progress of the community patch, which he oversees with tender, loving, green-thumb care. But this week his particular interest is the installation of 2 marble benches, a long-cherished dream of his for the garden. This has been accomplished as a result of Nick's GoFundMe campaign and thanks to the brawn of Connor and Tyler from the Parks and Rec Department. Thanks a lot for your help, guys. Not only can visitors and gardeners rest on these cool surfaces, but we, as hosts of this series, have a firm platform to fill our intros and outros. Nick, who is used to quarry and sculpturing work, demonstrates how to use small stones to smooth the marble sides. Mike Gay spreads his miracle fertilizer, Moodoo, on the plants which he generously donated to the garden: squash, pumpkin, and early cantaloupe. My, doesn't he work fast to weed and plant when he is enthused about the project. Mike transforms 2 unclaimed plots from just dirt to special earth. As a professional gardener, the owner of Enchanted Flora Farm, he provides us with valuable tips. Okay. Furrow 5. We open this furrow with advice on protecting our skin from prolonged exposure in the sunny garden. Reminders included a sun hat, sunscreen, and a cool, damp towel around the neck. Nick also urged us to keep hydrated. The wonderful fire department arrived unannounced to rescue the day by bringing us more water. We thank them on behalf of all the growing plants. Nick has placed a cooler near the curb with a sign inviting our neighbors and passers-by to help themselves to the veggies inside. We respectfully request that only the actual gardeners who have rented the land take produce from the raised beds. Nick proudly names the Floral Quartet of the flowers which have been planted here: cosmos, marigolds, sunflowers, and zinnias. Their bright and cheerful colors make gardening here more pleasant. One gardener, Linda, is our resident herbalist. She explains how mullein, which was self-seeded here, can be used medicinally, and how she even made her own tea bag. Furrow 6. Now it's time to proudly present our parade of produce. Next, he points out the herbs that are thriving in our garden. But our veggies prove the most numerous in this harvest parade. Gale insists on showing off her dragon's tongue beans. conclude with Linda's herbal lore. Furrow 7. Our producer sent away to UVM for a soil sample kit, so we could learn more about the content of the soil in our raised beds. This is not just plain old Rutland dirt. The results were emailed back, and we learned that there is more potassium in the soil than necessary. The cost for this service was $14. Any Vermont resident can request this. Now for the fun part, as our taste buds enjoy the results of 8 months of our gardening labors. With his sharp knife and trusty cutting board, Nick slices open some tomatillos, which are not little tomatoes at all, and an early cantaloupe for us to try. Furrow 8. Now it's time to bring out the metal measuring tape. How long will various veggies vine anyway? Was Mike boasting? So we found that the spaghetti squash vined 25 feet, and that the pumpkin vined 12 feet. Finally, Nick demonstrated how to measure something way over his head. He guesstimated quite close the height of the sunflower plant, 11 feet 3 inches. And so the Northwest Community Garden will gradually surrender its roots and branches as the produce is finally distributed and put to good use. May the gentle snows of winter restore life to this soil so that a new harvest can be planned and planted in 2019. Think of all the new friends we have made and the great information we have gleaned over these past 8 months in the garden. Will we see you there next year?